What's going on, guys? My name is Daniel Espira, and today we're going to be doing the final, I guess, for now, Five Nights at Freddy's reaction slash, analyzing and reviewing and giving my thoughts and input on MatPat's last piece to end the final timeline. Now, I did watch part 1 already. I didn't watch it on camera because I was like, I'm not trying to do all that. But this one most likely will recap, and we'll go from there. So let's see what he has to say, how he's gonna finish this timeline.
Yesterday was so amazing. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere.
Who you gonna call? Psychic friend Fred Bear.
This time you'll have to keep up with me. Oh, never mind.
The fan, the greatest of the
Hello,
scares.
Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, where, before we close the book on our final FNaF theory, it's time to open the book on new Back to School merch!
No, dog, I'm not trying to...
When last we left things, we'd covered everything up through the second Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria location. Things like why the missing children's incident must be the first event of the timeline, the identity of Golden Freddy.
Okay, yeah, so before actually, let's finish
Circus
watching
Baby's
this.
Pizza World has to come earlier in the timeline than most people expect, and a quick review over how Michael Afton is the crying child from
the
FNaF
book,
4.
yeah.
But all of that left us with a big question. If Michael Afton
Oh yeah, you guys saw that one,
gets
so...
himself bit, then how is he able to come back later in the timeline for games like Sister Location and Pizzeria Simulator? Well, this is where the books once again come in to give us
there
the
should
solution
be
that no one would have predicted.
yeah,
You see,
exactly.
At the end of FNaF 4, we get the lines, "We are still your friends.
Do you still believe that?
I will put you back together." We've never actually established who speaks those words. Ultimately, the best guess
thought
that
it
we
was
had
the
was
puppet
the puppet.
or-
But here's
or
the
Golden
thing,
Freddy.
It can't be the puppet. Based on this,
But
my
back in the
final-
day, we did we think somebody? Yeah, it was MatPat that made a video saying, "I will put you back together," talking about his son. And one of the actually, it wasn't even all that old. So yeah, multiple locations were open at the same time. Missing children incident. All 5 kids die. They're just sitting there. Okay, let's continue.
Timeline of events. William hasn't killed Henry's daughter yet.
No, he
the
hasn't.
puppet isn't possessed
We know this for a
yet.
fact from
Instead,
Ultimate
that
Custom
line
Night,
is
okay?
more likely coming from William. It's him making a fateful promise to his dead son. I will put you back together. The thing is, he takes that promise a lot more literally than any of us would have ever suspected. He is literally promising to physically put his son back together.
Okay, so I don't remember which one it was, but it was said that I don't know if it was somebody talking or if it was in one of MatPat's videos, but I do agree that you know, now that we do know that you play as Michael Afton is the crying child, then he can be the victim, he can be alive. And I totally went the opposite direction of where I wanted to go, and I forgot what I wanted to say, so let's continue.
As a robot. And we know from the final FNaF novel, The Fourth Closet, that William in that story is obsessed with bringing life to these machines. And even more importantly, we know that in Scott's vision of this world, robots who think they're human and don't realize that they're robots is a real thing. A huge twist at the end of the final FNaF novel is that the main character, Charlie, Henry's daughter, is actually revealed to be one of these robots. And not just a single robot, mind you. Charlie is one
adult
in
form.
a series of 4 robots. That's what the title of the book is referencing. She was kidnapped and killed by Afton as a 3-year-old girl, and in his grief over losing his daughter, Henry built 4 robotic versions of her, each one slightly older than the last, implanting each version with memories so that she could grow up just like a normal kid. Quote, Charlie would be a baby, then a little girl,
and the same thing would go for Michael Afton
then a sulky
William
teenager,
Afton.
then at last she would be a woman. She would be finished. Perfect. End quote. It's weird, definitely, and it opens up a whole heck of a lot of plot holes in the novel, but I honestly think that this might be what happens to Michael Afton in the game. Clearly, he dies during the bite of 83. The survival logbook confirms this over and over and over again. That is locked in. But Michael is literally rebuilt by Afton, put back together by William. The books allude to it, it fits with the timeline, and most importantly of all, it explains why he doesn't die after getting scooped in Sister Location.
I should be dead. but I'm not.
Why his memory is so foggy throughout the survival logbook, but most importantly of
Yeah.
all, why he can only die through fire. Have you ever stopped to consider that?
To get rid of the
Michael
remnant.
Afton lives through getting himself scooped at the end of Sister Location, but passes on just like all the other animatronics at the end of FNaF 6, when the remnant in his body is
gone.
burned away. Remember, based on our timeline, William Afton has already seen his daughter die in Circus Baby, and has also probably seen that her spirit possesses the suit. So he knows it's possible for a living spirit to be inside these robots.
the
It
soul
actually might be why he sends
to an
Michael down to
animatronic.
explore Sister Location in the first place.
Father, it's me, Michael. I did it. I put her back together, just like you asked me to.
He knows that Michael's
Hold on, let me stop right there, because I just remember that, like, everybody thought it was Springtrap that was on the thing because of the robotic voice. Like, the voice didn't sound just normal, you know what I'm saying? And that does make perfect sense, you know, Father, it's me, Michael, sounding like, with a little bit of, like a metally, like, ending to it. So that does kind of go with the robot Michael thing.
sister, his daughter, is still down there, so he's aware of what she is, and it might be his way of breaking the news to Michael. Hey there, kiddo, there was something I was meaning to tell you, but unfortunately, I'm kinda trapped in a wall right now. So go down into that creepy cellar I have and pay a visit to your sister. She might prompt some really existential revelations. And lastly, consider this. In the bonus cutscenes for Sister Location, Baby establishes that she knows that Michael can't die.
You won't die, you won't die.
Yeah.
You won't die.
So she might just recognize that they're one and the same. This insane sounding theory, and trust me, I recognize that it sounds completely bonkers, may
Not really.
actually tie
Not
into the
really.
mystery of the FNaF 4 box. What's in it? It might actually be Michael Afton's body. Yeah. Remember how I just said that in the fourth closet, the
Like
main
in the
character was actually the
book,
third
they
in a
found
series of
her,
4
what's his
robots?
name?
Well,
John
she
found her
almost
in the
gets herself
box.
killed at the end of book 2 and is discovered midway through book 3.
I mean, that's a stretch, but
that sounds
I mean, it could
very
be
similar
nowadays.
to the one that appears at the end of FNaF 4. Quote, John moved to a large green chest, the paint almost entirely worn off. There was no lock. John knelt beside it, found the handle, and heaved it open, then shuddered. It's Charlie, he said hoarsely.
She's in the
In the
box.
chest. She was locked in a box. That's insane. She was locked in a box. Who knows for how long? Days? Months? End quote. I actually know how long
Yeah.
she was trapped in the box. It was
I
6
did,
months.
but
So anyway,
there you go.
is this definitive proof
6
of
months.
what's in the box and that Michael Afton is a robot? No. But it's definitely circumstantial evidence. And think about this. Remember
Yeah.
that Scott kept the box locked because he was worried that the fan base wouldn't accept the answer to what was inside of it. Well, can you blame him? If he kept a broken robot kid inside of the box, that would probably upset a few people because at this point in the series, it would
No one
literally
knew-
come
no
out
one
of
had an
nowhere.
idea.
Up to FNaF 4, this was just the story of a creepy, haunted animatronic pizzeria. Nothing about robot kids or anything like that. The last stretch of this series just went into some weird directions. Anyway, with the bite of 83, Fredbear's Family Diner closes, leaving only Freddy Fazbear's second location, Junior's. A new, larger location with upgraded security in the form of the toy
For FNaF
animatronics.
2.
But after all the missing children from their last endeavor, Henry wanted to take an extra special precaution to further protect his daughter. He installed an upgraded surveillance system in the form of security puppets, specifically programmed to watch one child, his daughter. As an added nod to where security puppet fits into the timeline, Scott very clearly included the puppet's signature gift box as part of the visuals in its minigame in FNaF
That is
6,
right.
a box that only occurs in the FNaF 2 location. You can even see what looks to be wanted posters in the back alley, thereby establishing that a crime had been committed in this area previously. William Afton returns and, because he's a prime suspect in the missing children's incident, is not allowed back at the pizzeria. That's why we see him turned away at the door to Junior's. As a result, he's forced to kill Henry's daughter outside. Behind the facility.
What
Her
if-
soul goes on to possess the security puppet, and she proceeds to give life to all the other lost souls still trapped in
What if when he was going to... Oh, no, he wasn't going to go get Crying Deal. When, you know, at the freaking Drive Fast minigame, where it's like he'll be sorry when he comes back. He didn't... What if he went to go get him and saw No, he was probably just trying to get into into the place, but he had to kill the children outside. So that does kind of...
The original
I'm okay
5
with that.
animatronics.
I'm alright
We
with that.
know this based on the Save Them minigame, where we see the puppets searching for someone to help the dead children lying around the pizzeria. The toy animatronics are standing on stage lifeless. But most tellingly of all, we see the original versions of Foxy, Chica, and Bonnie inactive in the parts and supply room, and yet Freddy is somehow able to freely move around. This shows us that some of the OG animatronics haven't been given gifts given life yet. It's also worth noting that on rare instances we get an Easter egg of Golden Freddy broken there on the floor, his ghostly self phasing into and out of existence.
Yeah.
And that's not all. Get close to him, and for a brief moment you catch a glimpse of a white dot appearing in his eye. Golden Freddy has the spirit of Cassidy already in him, except there are 2 problems. First, he's a spring-lock suit. Unlike the others, he can't freely move around because he's not kept in animatronic mode. Despite the puppet's best attempts, Cassidy will be forever trapped in a suit that is perpetually slumped over.
Yeah, everybody kind of knew that,
secondly,
though.
the yellow
like, for a
Golden
while
Freddy
now.
suit is being kept, like we saw, in the FNaF 4 location. Hence why in FNaF 2 and then onward in the series, he's forced to remain as just a spirit. Afton continues to sneak into the pizzeria disguised as a security guard, using his signature spring-lock suit and crank to kill kids. This prompts the animatronics to get angry and attack anyone in a security guard uniform. As we see throughout the FNaF novels, and as the puppet reinforces in Ultimate Custom Night,
The others are like animals, but I am very aware.
so they're not rationally thinking, which results
just
in
act.
night guard turned day guard Jeremy Fitzgerald getting his frontal lobe bit in an event known as the Bite of 87, and henceforth animatronics are no longer allowed to free roam in the restaurants. In total, another 5 children die in the FNaF 2 location, again shown through the Save Them minigame, before the place is shut down and the toy animatronics get scrapped, since, let's be honest, they were all kind of crap at their job anyway. But more importantly, it's at this
No,
point that
wait.
Afton
Did he say
realized
another 5? I guess he could have.
This is the power of children's souls. It's here where he first sees the animatronics moving freely, possessed by the spirits of the dead children and activated by the puppet. And here, through the end of the series, his mission changes. He's no longer just killing kids. He's now looking to actively harness that power for himself so he can be immortal.
Yes.
It's a goal that he expresses in the 4th
Yes,
closet.
that's right.
Quote, "You killed them. They died in the suits.
Once he
Their
found out he
bodies
could
were
do,
bound inside along with their
he could
souls.
bind
The
souls
spirit
to
follows the
animatronics.
flesh, it would seem. And also
can,
the pain. If I wish to
he
become
wanted
my
to
own
become immortal himself.
creation, my body must lead my spirit to its eternal home. This affects all his future actions in the series. So when the withered animatronics get sent back to the FNaF 1 location for storage and the possible reopening of the pizzeria, William tracks them back to dismantle them and discover their power. This leads to the cutscenes from FNaF 3, where William systematically lures the original animatronics to the back safe room one by one, only to dismantle them. Before, these cutscenes seemed super random. It just seemed like him trying to get rid of the animatronics for reasons. But now, thanks to the novels, we actually know why he did it, to dissect the robots and experiment on them.
yeah.
And it's these experiments that end up producing the Funtime animatronics. One
Correct.
big lingering question mark of the series was the nature of the Funtime animatronics deep underground during Sister Location. How were they alive? Were they possessed by more dead
No,
kids?
they
Well, we
were
finally have
from,
our answer there,
like the
courtesy of
molten-
Candy Cadet and the
molten
Fourth
hot,
Closet. Now, back
oh
in
my
FNaF
God,
6,
yes, Candy
Cadet's
Cadet, it
stories
all
were a
makes
bit of a
sense now.
mystery. Each one had to do with 5 things becoming one thing. 5
Yes.
keys melted together, 5 orphans sewn together to fit into one coffin, 5 kittens sacrificed and then combined to fit into one shoebox. It seemed
Hey,
like
it's
it was
Finn.
referring to Ennard, the amalgamation of all the other animatronic parts, but the math was always kinda wonky. Ennard consisted of Baby, Ballora, Funtime Freddy, and Funtime Foxy, which is just 4
It's
animatronics.
the original 5.
Maybe if you squinted at it, you would include the Bonnie puppet, but that seemed like a stretch. And as a result, we just
'Cause
weren't
I thought
quite
that was
sure what was
Ennard,
going on with those
in the,
stories. Luckily, the release of the Fourth Closet has cleared this
Fourth
mystery
Closet.
up. Quote, "A single figure stood still amongst the chaos, out of phase with the surroundings. At first it seemed to be a man bent over a table, but as Carlton's head throbbed with waves of confusion, the man became a yellow rabbit, not standing over a table, but over 5 children, tied together as one. he knew exactly what he was looking at. The endoskeletons of the original Freddy's animatronics, welded and melted together, immobile and featureless, and still inhabited by the spirits of the children who had been murdered inside of them so many years ago. Still filled with life and motion and thought, all trapped, all in terrible pain.
And then he melted them and
so
injected
in the FNaF 3 cutscenes, we see
the
William
remnant
dismantle
stuff
the animatronics.
into
From there, he melts down their
Funtime Freddy.
endoskeletons to discover the secret of their everlasting life. He then uses this molten spirit metal, remnant, to infuse life into his new creations, the Funtime animatronics. Quote again, the table's surface was glowing orange and the hot metal hissed. William took a syringe from the woman's hand and thrust it into the squirming thing forcefully. He drew the plunger up,
woman is
holding
Baby,
the
by
needle
the way.
steady as the syringe
Just to let you
filled
guys
with
know.
molten substance.
If
He
you didn't know.
staggered back toward the bear. The man again pried open the heavy chest plate of the standing, broken bear, then carefully inserted the syringe he held directly into the chest cavity and began to press the plunger down. What this and the Candy Cadet stories tell us is that the Fun Times weren't just possessed by new kids, they were created from the remnant of the original 5, fused together into one chaotic, confused spiritual mess. Like Ennard said from his original teaser for Sister Location, there's a piece of me in every body. From those experiments, William is able to open Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rentals, the underground facility from Sister Location. Using Remnant, he brings life to animatronics specifically designed to lure and trap kids so he can have more test subjects for his experiments. He then rents the robots out to special events and other locations. Why isn't there a Funtime Chica in Sister Location? Simply because she's rented out. We see this hidden in the source code to Scott's website around the time of Sister Location's release. Chica's Party World is a separate location, a client of Afton Robotics, and as such, she's not being kept underground with the rest of them. That's why she's gone, only to then reappear in FNaF 6 and Custom Night. But there was one thing that William Afton didn't anticipate in all his plans: the spirits of the children wanting revenge. Now that they were freed from their animatronic prisons, they corner William in the safe room of the first Freddy Fazbear's restaurant, forcing him to hide out in the Golden Bonnie suit, which snaps shut, almost killing him, but not quite.
I'm okay with that. I mean, I was gonna say there's a
the restaurant
definitely
seals the
there's a
safe room
gap
and everything inside to escape
between the
liability.
Fun Times being made and the spirits, unless the spirits chase them after.
To me, this seems like the actions of Henry. Who else would seal a bloody, living body in a hidden room in a pizzeria? Henry seems like the best bet, but we can't know for sure. Regardless, Afton is locked back there until the year 2023 when Fazbear Fright opens. The phone dude discovers the hidden room and sets Afton, now Springtrap, loose once more. From there, we know pretty much everything else. Springtrap haunts Fazbear Fright only to have it burned down. It seems to me that this again was Henry's doing. The ultimate custom night samurai cutscenes symbolize their relationship. William Afton is the fox, and Freddy is Henry, the bear of vengeance. The last line of dialogue in these samurai cutscenes says it best: I will pursue the fox. I will find him in whatever land he has fled to. It is my destiny, and it is his. Throughout the games, Henry is constantly trying to thwart William in escalating fashion. He starts by getting him kicked out of the FNaF 2 location. He then tries to get him arrested in the aftermath of the missing children's incident. He traps him bleeding and spring-locked in the walls of Freddy Fazbear's, and finally he sets him on fire not just once in Fazbear Fright, but a second time in Pizzeria Simulator. Meanwhile, the rebuilt Michael Afton, Michael version 2.0, searches for his dad to get some answers. He starts in Sister Location, meets Baby, but falls victim to the plot of the furious tangle of spirits held in the various Funtime animatronics. Together, they form Ennard and scoop Michael's body in an attempt to escape their prison. The scooping plan works, but Michael survives because, remember, he's a robot. Baby seems to know this based on her repeated use of
You won't die, you won't die, you won't die.
That makes perfect sense.
More in need of answers than ever before, Michael promises his father,
I'm going to come find you.
which leads us at last to FNaF 6. Even though the puppet tried to free the spirits of the dead children in FNaF 3, it doesn't quite work. This is because the spirits were no longer complete, with parts of their souls now trapped in the Funtime animatronics, which themselves are now in the form of Molten Freddy. This is why paragraph 4 is such a big deal throughout FNaF 6. Based on the insanity-ending blueprints, paragraph 4 stipulates that all creatures containing Remnant must be in the pizzeria by the end of the week, so that when it burns, everyone goes with it. All remaining Remnant must be purged in order for the souls to finally be set free. free. Michael accepts the role as night guard at the simulated pizzeria. Henry summons all the animatronics there, burns it all to the ground, and finally releases everyone, including condemning William to hell. Well, he didn't release everyone. Golden Freddy, still a vengeful spirit, has a bone to pick with Willie, so she traps him in purgatory, forcing him to suffer for eternity at the hands of the monsters he created. And despite Old Man Consequences telling her to relax, she won't quit, hence her soul still being in Golden Freddy's twitching eyes as he fades out into the darkness and as the series hits its final notes. I don't know about you, but between these last two videos, I think that's about as thorough as you could possibly.
Sounds about right to me, man.
So there you have it, FNaF theorists. As deep of a deep dive as I can go, trying to answer as many questions as possible, all while putting things into an order that makes sense, while also accounting for as much of the evidence as possible. Is it a perfect timeline? No, but I don't think there can be.
Time out, guys.
Mr.
We'll just leave it at that. Five Nights at Freddy's, the timeline. What do I have to say about it? Yeah, I think it's right. I think for the most part it's right. It's still like some things that are like, what? But then when you have to, even though the books and the games are different canons, they both borrow from each other. There are two timelines. Let's go into Steins Gate. There are two different, world lines of the same situation. And Robot Michael makes perfect sense now, and also, how the original animatronics in the book, the original animatronics, he kind of like combined all their endoskeletons and made this one, which I thought in the book was Ennard, this one giant body, but he was injecting the thing into, which it was Ennard, literally, like you're mixing the 5 souls, putting it into that one, and then injecting Funtime Freddy, and then all the other ones. Mangle was there too. Mangle was freaking dope. But yeah, that is it, guys. That is, if you guys listen to it, and you guys have played the games and have followed along and read the books and looked at the logbook, yeah, what he's saying does make sense. I'm completely okay with this timeline. I'm ready to say, you know what, we are done. Five Nights at Freddy's timeline has been, for the most part, solved. And if this is the last game, then yeah, thank you, Scott. Thank you, Scott. I don't know if I said thank you in any of the other videos while I was playing Ultimate Custom Night. But yeah, man, thank you, dude, for such an engaging game that most people would say, oh, that's a kid's game. And, even though a lot of kids, I'm not going to lie, a lot of kids love Five Nights at Freddy's. But the story and to try and figure out and put the things together, because you can hear plenty of theories, but then you start making your own and you're like, wait, that doesn't make sense. I need to try something different. And here we are. We're at the end of it. And if you guys did enjoy this video, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.